Good afternoon, my name is Camden and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be teaming up with my best friend Aubrey in order to bring you guys today's video. I really love including my friends and family members on this channel if you have not been able to tell yet, because they're such a huge part of my life and I just love featuring them. I had the idea a couple months ago to do a tarot reading style of recommendations video, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Reading tarot is one of Aubrey's hobbies and she always gives me tarot readings when we are hanging out together, so I thought that this would be a fitting way to kind of bring her onto my channel. So she's going to be doing a pick a card style tarot reading in the next portion of this video, and I'll be pairing each tarot reading with a book recommendation that I feel like fits the vibe of the card that she picked for you. Aubrey is going to explain how this works a little bit more and also kind of walk you through the mechanics of a tarot reading in her portion of this video. So without any further ado, let's just hop into it. I hope you all enjoy.
Hello everyone, my name is Aubrey and I'll be helping out with your reading today. So get comfortable and let's be with the cards today. So how this will work is I'm going to put out 6 different stones and I want you to think about each stone individually. Pick whichever stone speaks out to you the most. Is there any stones that stand out over the others? Once you've picked a stone that you like, I will do a reading for that stone and Camden will provide a book recommendation for it. I will also be reading the cards as they face towards me. If you just want to skip to your reading, there will be timestamps in the description. Are you ready to get started? Good. Then let's go. This first stone I have is actually called Petrified Wood. It has been used for balance and calmness, as well as in some cases to communicate with ancestors. The second stone is called Green Aventurine. It is helpful for prosperity and diffusing negative emotions. This third stone is called Chrysocolla. It is associated with tranquility, peace, and unconditional love. This fourth stone is one of my favorites, Amethyst. It helps with anxiety and calmness. Our fifth stone is called Black Garnet. It is useful for self-empowerment and boosting creativity. Our final stone, with the most fun name, Lapis Lazuli. It is helpful for communication and knowledge as well as loyalty and spirituality. Once you have chosen a stone, I will remove them, cleanse the area, and prepare for the reading. The first thing I'm going to do is cleanse the area with some sage. Reading tarot cards can expel a lot of energy, both negative and positive, and it's always good to keep a cleansed area for when you do your readings. Now that the area has been cleansed, the reading may begin. The candle represents the day. The circular nature of the candle represents the circular nature of our lives. The light of the candle represents the sun, whereas the shadow it casts represents the moon. This skull represents death, but also rebirth. Finally, the statue represents the mind and the body, and the balance between them. Ah, Petrified Wood. Let's see what our ancestors have to say. A reversed Queen of Wands. This card is all about self-respect and confidence. Unlike the extroverted nature of the unreversed card, the reversed card represents a more introverted nature. Maybe you're spending more time at home. Maybe you're finding more time to work on yourself. It's always good to take time to yourself, but if you find you're lacking confidence, this card invites you to focus your energy inward, start building your self-respect and resilience.
For this tarot reading, I recommend picking up the book Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan. This book is following a main character named Cody who is entering into her senior year at the beginning of this story and starting to feel like she has really missed out on the typical high school experience. Cody tends to be an introvert and a homebody, and she feels like she's spent the last 3 years hanging out with her 2 best friends, watching the same movies on Netflix, and never really exploring the limits of her independence. I really love this paragraph on the back cover. I feel like it sums up the book very well. You grow up with these ideas of teenagers, about their wild, vibrant, dramatic lives of breaking rules and making out and being alive. And you know that it's your destiny to become one of them someday. But then suddenly you're 17 and standing on the sidelines watching other kids cannonball into a swimming pool in the pouring rain. And you realize you still haven't become a real teenager, and maybe you never will. This book is such a quintessential coming-of-age story, and it has a lot of queer representation in all of our main characters throughout this book. Our main character, Cody, really goes on a journey throughout this book. There's so much character growth. I feel like this one pairs perfectly with the tarot reading because the message at the core of this book is not that being introverted is a bad thing, but that Cody never would have understood or explored these other sides of her personality if she hadn't become more self-confident and kind of pushed herself beyond the bounds of her comfort zone. If you like YA books, if you like coming-of-age stories, if you like LGBTQ literature, I definitely think that you should pick this one up. It's great.
Ooh, the Green Aventurine. Let's see what we have. The Sun is a great card to get. It's all about vitality, fun, and warmth. It also refers to success. If you're going through a difficult time, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and soon you will come out to a bigger, brighter future. You can be sure that your radiance and joy will go with you wherever you go.
Based on the themes of vitality and success in the Sun card, I am picking Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin for this tarot reading. This is the type of book that means different things to different people, but for me, this book is kind of like a nostalgic, warm hug. We are following two main characters in this novel, Sadie and Sam, who at the opening of this book already have some history with each other, and throughout this novel we're following them as their friendship grows, as they fall in and out of love with each other, as they become creative partners and business partners together on a very successful video game developing company. The inside cover of this one reads, "Two friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality." This book really showcases a lot of different phases that they're going through, both as friends and as business partners and creative minds. And I feel like the way that their career success is inherently tied to their relationship and their friendship was so interesting. I feel like a lot of people go into this book worried about how prevalent and present the video game element of this story will be. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who is not that into video games, it was much more about the storylines than it was about any kind of technical elements about video games. So seeing the kind of creative process of coming up with what video games to develop next, what the market wants, how to respect your work as an artist while also doing something that's marketable, like that look into that side of things was so interesting to me, and I cannot wait to read whatever Gabrielle Zevin comes out with next.
Okay, you bright and shiny Chrysocolla, what do you have for us today? The Three of Swords. Did someone hurt you recently? Have you had feelings of disappointment recently? I know how it can feel. It can be sad and upsetting. This card invites you to acknowledge those emotions, but don't have them hold you back. Keep moving forward. Pain and betrayal can happen sometimes, but it's important not to let those moments to change who we are. Stay true to yourself and you can get through this.
For the Three of Swords card, I am picking An Emotion of Great Delight by Tahera Mafi. This book is heartbreaking and hopeful and overall just an absolute emotional roller coaster. We are meeting our main character Shadi at the end of a very heartbreaking year for her. Her brother recently passed away, her father's health has been declining rapidly, and her mother's mental stability is hanging on by a thread. Shadi herself is determined to not be a burden on her family at all, which to her kind of means being super self-reliant and almost invisible. Part of the heartbreak of this story as well is the time and place that it is set in, namely America post 9/11. Shadi and her family are Persian and Muslim, so on top of all the other tragedies that they've been experiencing, there's also this rise in hate and Islamophobia directed towards them. Even in the midst of all of this heartbreak though, a love story starts to blossom between Shadi and her brother's best friend. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This book is really sad. The emotions in this one are super raw, and it was difficult to read at times, but if you enjoy a good cry, I know I do sometimes, and if you enjoy reading hopeful, heartbreaking stories, or maybe that's the kind of mental space that you're in right now and you want to be with a book that understands that kind of pain, I definitely think that you should pick this one up. I know some people had feedback that the ending of this one was very abrupt, but for me, I felt like it fit with the kind of story this is, like a very slice of life. You're dropped into the situation and you're raptured right out of it very quickly as well. So beautiful writing, raw emotions. You can expect all of that and more in this one.
Welcome to the table, my Amethyst. What card should we get today? The Hermit is a card that refers to soul-searching, introspection, and being alone. Have you been spending a lot of time by yourself? Trying to spend time away from outside forces? Trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing? Who am I? Why am I here? Is this really me? These are all questions you might be asking yourself. The Hermit usually appears when we have important decisions to make. This card may suggest that the best course of action is some seclusion and introspection.
For the book recommendation for this tarot reading, I'm going with The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. I'll be honest, I'm really only picking this one because of how much I enjoyed it, and also the fact that our main character, Angrboda, is a bit of a hermit throughout the story, so there's no real deeper meaning here. It's just like, what you see is what you get. Hermit card, hermit recommendation. This book is based on Norse mythology, and we are following our main character, Angrboda, after she was killed by the gods and somehow came back to life. She retreats to the forest to live in hiding until she's discovered by the god Loki and becomes his wife. This book is told over the course of many years, and we follow Angrboda as she falls in love, gets married, and has children. At its heart, this book is a story of motherly love, because motherly love and the need to protect her children is really the first thing that compels Angrboda to finally leave the sanctuary of her forest. Angrboda is a pretty obscure but important character in Norse mythology, and I think Genevieve Gornichek handled telling her story and making her a very sympathetic character really beautifully.
Well, my stoic black Garnet, what do you have for me today? The reversed Five of Pentacles is a hopeful card. You may have had some difficult times recently, possibly financial problems. The card tells us that those problems may be coming to an end. It can also refer to non-financial issues as well. Maybe you feel as if someone or something is missing from your life. This card tells us to be hopeful for the ending of this season and the sun to come out.
For the Five of Pentacles reversed, I recommend reading The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. At the opening of this novel, our main character Avery is definitely struggling financially. In fact, she's been living in her car while also trying to survive her final year of high school. Then she receives a visit from a stranger saying that her attendance is required at the will reading of eccentric billionaire Tobias Hawthorne. Avery is suddenly thrust into the upper echelons of society, where the paparazzi are waiting for her at every turn, and someone is trying to make an assassination attempt on her life. Throughout this book, we're following Avery and Tobias's 4 grandsons as they're trying to put together the pieces of a puzzle that he left them that will help them understand who Avery is and why she was included in this will at all. This book was a recent read for me and I really enjoyed it. The puzzle element and the mystery element of this one was such a fun time, and our main character of Avery was such a capable and direct main character. I really enjoyed following from her perspective. I think if you enjoyed books like Truly Devious, you should definitely check this one out.
What do you have in store for us today, Lapis Lazuli? The King of Wands reversed. Are you having difficulty with a role of leadership? You may feel like you have very creative ideas, but don't have the confidence yet to lead others towards your goals. This card may also refer to someone who is arrogant in their pursuit of their goals. Make sure to strive towards your goals 100%, but make sure you don't put others down while you're doing it. You need them just as much as they need you. This card invites you to set realistic expectations for yourself and others, as well as working on your own leadership skills, so you can be the strong and confident leader you are. Thank you all for joining me today, and I leave you with the Earth Mother's blessings. Love you.
Because this card symbolizes struggling to lead and also arrogance, I decided to pick She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan for this book recommendation. This book is following a very plucky and clever main character named Zhu. Over the course of this book, Zhu goes from being a poor girl barely surviving in an outlying village to a well-respected monk in a monastery to a general leading an army, and by the end of this book her ambitions are absolutely sky high. Throughout this book, Zhu definitely struggles to gain respect, but she always proves herself worthy in the end. I really enjoyed reading this book. I enjoyed the politics and the power struggles that we got to explore, how morally deficient Zhu is as a main character. She really prioritizes herself and her own survival above everything else, and I kind of love that about her. I also really appreciated the queer representation in this book, and overall this one definitely comes highly recommended for me if you enjoy epic fantasy or high fantasy, especially with like a political element. I think you would really enjoy this one. That is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the style of this one. I know it was a little bit different than my usual content, but I hope that you got a useful recommendation out of this. Please like this video, subscribe, comment down below, let me know which recommendation you got and if you will be reading it, and I will see you all with a new video next week. Goodbye!